Hi, Vaibhav. Thank you for joining us.
Hi, Shruti. Glad
And
to be over here.
thank you. And congratulations on your admit.
Thank you. It was a really great collaborative work that we did over this. So,
Right. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. So, Vaibhav, please tell us about your profile, your work experience and other things that you are involved in.
sure. Firstly, hi, Weber here. I have had around 4.5 years now of experiences in corporate world. I started my career as a business operations associate at ZS, which is a sales and marketing firm which primarily specializes in pharmaceutical healthcare consulting. So my experience was primarily in terms of commercial excellence analytics, specifically in the incentives and compensation reporting area. And over the years, I made a switch, went to the proper pharmaceutical industry itself by joining Novartis, which is a Switzerland-based pharmaceutical company. And over here, I've been working on various initiatives, be it the analytics, reporting, consultations, or in terms of generation of automation solutions. So I've done like bits and pieces of all the parts of product management to analytics scope. So it has been an amazing journey and learning more about how the industry works, and primarily helping the stakeholders and decision makers make those data driven decisions at the end of the day.
Right. So, please tell us about your decision to, pursue an MBA.
I mean, MBA had always been at the back of my mind, primarily because my experience had been, more in terms of generating some of the key insights, but not in terms of, being in the shoes of someone who makes those decisions at the end of the day. I think from that perspective, MBA made sense. Because I already had a couple of years of experience, and while working in the analytics field, it gave me an introspection into how data drives the decision making process. Over time, I started finding out like what kind of learnings or knowledge or experiences might help me out in making that transition. I realized that post MBA or post a couple of years down the line, I would like to work in the strategy consulting space. So moving into that space is always challenging if you come from a non-business background. And for me, the background was Indian engineering male, which is always a tough demographic to break from into any other industry as such. I decided that yeah, MBA made sense to learn about those core business functions, get an understanding of how business decisions are made, and from that perspective, it made sense. And I decided to pursue this opportunity to go into an MBA journey and learn from my peers at the cohort.
And Vaibhav, you've applied to schools in India as well as schools abroad, and you have a few admits from schools abroad as well. So, how did you compare a program in India versus a program abroad? What were the criteria that were important for you?
Right, so that's a really great question. So it is always tough for Indians to, realize which school might be a good fit for them when applying abroad, because all of us have been ingrained into that mindset, having to go to a CAT route, taking up the common admission test, applying for IIMs, and making a great career out of it. However, I realized a couple of years down the line, after working at ZS and Novartis, that the kind of work MBAs do after going through the IM MBA procedure in India, most of the times they eventually land up into the analytics role or a data science role itself. Even if they might have an initial strategy based role, but they eventually pivot back to the data science or analytics role. And since I was already in that industry and I wanted to explore more in terms of decision making process itself, I figured that if I want to pursue an MBA, I need to, enroll into a program which actually has a lot more experienced professionals, because peer learning is an essential aspect of the MBA journey. And from that perspective, I decided that the programs in India or abroad, which offer that opportunity for me to, explore the program and at the same time learn from my peers who come in with a lot of experience. That is what I was looking for. From that perspective, I applied at Indian School of Business, IIM Ahmedabad, PGPX program, and couple of US based programs such as University of Virginia's Darden and Keenan Flagler. So it was a blend of making sure that the post MBA goal which I want to pursue and the kind of environment I want to be in, it both of these played a crucial role in me for deciding which kind of programs do I want to go to.
At certain point in time, what happens is that at a certain GRE score, you'll have, or a GMAT score, you'll have a lot of choices to pick from. So
So
how do you exactly, circle down those two or three schools where you feel like applying in the R1, and then do you schedule some for R2? So what is the thought process behind that?
Right. So I think again, it's a very tough process. It requires a lot of introspection because in those cases, it's not just about, thinking what you want to do and what you want to pursue at the end of the day. It's also about being realistic about your choices. Because a lot of times we feel that, okay, maybe if we, go a peg above our capability, then maybe we'll be able to land those opportunities and so on. That's a general mindset of being optimistic. However, it is important to understand that while being optimistic, we also need to be a bit of realistic at the same time. So what I did was I tried to break down my target schools by understanding what kind of GRE scores, or I mean, I took GRE, so it made sense for me to analyze the GRE scores. What kind of averages do they have across their program in terms of GRE, or the average experience, or the average age of the incoming candidates, or how many international candidates they were taking in. So all of this information is available in the class statistics reports which every B school publishes. So I picked those reports up. I tried to understand where do I fit in, and if my experience and my knowledge, skills, capabilities will not just benefit me, but at the same time the peers that I'll be working with. And my GRE score was also something I took into consideration. I ensured that I have at least 6 to 7 points above the average GRE score, because Indian applicants as such are overrepresented in any of the abroad business schools. And from that perspective, it is extremely important to understand if your choice will be realistic one. So I ensured that I have 6 to 7 points above the overall GRE score, but at the same time, I also ensured that I have at least 4 or 5 points above both of the sectional splits as well. So keeping those things in mind, I made a short listing of the schools. I also figured out that which one might be a little bit tougher to break into. So I kept those for the round one, because in round one you generally have a lot more seats or slots open up. So you have a lot more opportunity to explore things. So I kept a tougher school for round one, and a bit and schools which are a bit easier to get into for round two as such. So that is how I went about deciding. And I mean, as an analytics professional, I picked up an Excel. I started deciding which schools will be, best one to go into, which one actually recruits into the school, into the companies which I want to go into. And I have an elaborate Excel which details all of these details. So from that, I created sort of a list that, okay, these are the 6 schools I want to apply in R1. These are the 6 schools I want to apply in R2.